Welcome, everyone. As we learn the venerable limud of Chok Yisrael, Baruch Shechiyanu v'Kimanu v'Giyanu Lazman Hazeh, to the finish of Chumash Shemais with Pkudei Yom Shishi, the day 6, Be'ezus Hashem Yisbach. We start a new Masechta Mishnayos with Masechtas Yadayim. Now, Masechtas Yadayim speaks about the takana of Shlomo HaMelech of Netilas Yadayim. That means that although normally when a person becomes tamei, his whole body becomes tamei, but the Chachamim were masakin at certain times just the hands become tamei, and for truma they could be the tumah could be removed with washing the hands, and for kachim you need to immerse the hands. So when we wash the hands, says the Mishnah, may revius noistim lo yadayim. You have to put a revius, which is 2.9 fluid ounces, to wash the hands. Now, once you have the 2.9 fluid ounces, it's good le'echad for one person, af l'shnoim, even for two people, because although you need to have a revius when you start, but for two people, you could do, the second person could use it even though he starts with less than a revius, because that's called shiorei tara, the remnants of tara. Now, if it's four people, you need to start with machzis loig, with a double amount, 2 revius. That's good l'shleisha l'arba. If it's a loig, which is already 4 times the amount of revius, that's good l'chamisha for 5 people, for la'asara for 10 people, u'lamei even for 100 people. And the Taisus Yom Tov says that when it says meya, it is an exaggeration, but at least if it's enough, as long as there's enough left to wash the hand, according to some, until the knuckles, before the palm, or according to others, till the wrist. Rabbi Yossi disagrees. Rabbi Yossi Aimer b'vad shelo yifchais la'achron shebehem merevius. You need to have for each one at least 2.9 fluid ounces. It's only good if there's still 2.9 fluid ounces in the keli for the last person that's using it. Now, although you only have to wash each hand once, but that removes the tumah from the hand, but then the water that's on the hand is tamei. So in order to remove the water that's tamei, you wash a second time. Now, the second time that you wash, you could wash in 2 stages. That means you could wash once. If you didn't cover the entire area, you could wash a second time. So moisifen al hashniyim, you could add to the second washing. That means if you didn't get the whole area, you could do it in piecemeal. But the emoy sifin al rishon, you can't do the first washing piecemeal. You have to get the whole area with one cast of the water. Now, the kol hakelim noisim liyadayim, you could use all utensils for washing the hands, afilu b'klei gelalim, even dungware, b'klei avanim, or stoneware, or b'klei adama, or earthenware, which was not baked in a kiln. Ein noisim liyadayim, but you cannot use for netilas yadayim, loy b'dafanas hakelim, not with the wall of a utensil, even if it's a little curved, so it could hold water, because that's not a keli, v'loy b'shulei hamachatz, nor the bottom of a broken machatz. A machatz is a large keli that was used to scoop wine and put it in a barrel. If you only have the bottom of that, it's no good, because that's not a utensil. It's a broken utensil. V'loy b'megufas hachavitz, nor the cover of a barrel, because the cover of a barrel is not used to hold water. You can't scoop up water with your 2 hands and pour it on your friend's hands, because you cannot fill water from the stream in order to use for the mixing of the ash of the paraduma. Nor can you mix the ash of the paraduma into water. Nor can you sprinkle the mechatas. Nor can you use it for netilas yadayim, ela b'keli, only something that's an official utensil. The din is that if a corpse is in a room, everything under that roof is tamei, unless it's an item that is in a sealed earthenware vessel. Tamid basel means sealed. But a sealed earthenware vessel only saves it if it is a earthenware utensil. If it's broken, the item that's in it, even though it's sealed, will not save it from tumah. And she'ein, and the Mefarshim explained that the shin over here serves like a vav. Ve'ein matzilin miyad klei cheres. And if you have an earthenware vessel that's tamei, anything inside it becomes tamei, unless you have if there's a keli inside that earthenware vessel, and there's something in that keli, then if it's a closed keli, the item will be protected from the tumah. But the ein matzilin miyad klei cheres, something that's in a keli inside the earthenware vessel that's tummy is only safe from tumah elakalim if it's a whole keli. If it's a whole keli and it's covered, then it will save the item inside it from getting tummy from the earthenware vessel, which is matame everything that's inside it. Hamayim shenifsalu mishtiyas habehema, water that was disqualified from drinking of an animal. In other words, it has a foul odor, so even an animal won't drink it, or it has a very heavy salt content. So, hamayim shenifsalu mishtiyas habehema bekalim, such water, if you want to pour it on your hands from a utensil, psulim. However, b'karkois, if this foul water is in the ground and it's 40 sah, and you want to dip your hands in it, immerse your hands in it, ksherim, it's still kosher as a mikvah. Now water, nafal eseichen yai, if ink falls into it, kaimis or gum, bekankantam or shoemaker's black, and it discolors the water, minishtanu mareim, and the water becomes discolored, psulin, it's disqualified for netilas yadayim. Now, I'll just put on over here the plug so that we don't lose the battery. Gotta have your eyes in every direction over here. Okay. Asav malacha, if work was done with this water, even if you soaked your bread, that it should be moist in the water, psulin, that water work was done with it, and it's not good for netilas yadayim. Shimon HaTimni says that's only if you plan to use the water. But if you had in mind to dip the bread in one utensil and you dipped it in a second utensil, why? Because since you didn't plan on using the water, it's not disqualified. If you took the water and rinsed with it some dishes that were dirty, or you used the water to scrub some scales that became grimy from what you put on them to weigh, they became fat, psulim. So that water was used, and therefore it's possible. But if, let's say, the housewife just is a little OCD-ish, and she rinsed with it already clean utensils, or she rinsed off a new utensil, since there was no purpose in that work, that's not considered work, so ksherim, that water is kosher for netilas yadayim. Rabbi Yossi paisel b'chadashim, Rabbi Yossi says that since it's the custom to wash off a keli that was never used, then that is considered work. Hamayim shanachtoim matbel behen masagluskin, water that the baker dips the loaf in, he would make a dough, shape it, and then dip the dough into the water in order that the challah should glisten, should shine. Sometimes they would coat it with eggs. Sometimes they would dip it in water. Psulin, that water is disqualified because it's considered that work was done with it. But if the baker dips his hand in the water and then bastes the challah with his hand, the rest of the water is ksherim because the rest of the water work wasn't done with. Everybody is allowed to wash your hands, afilu cheresh shaita v'katan, even a deaf, mute, an imbecile, or a minor. Maniach chavias bein birka v'naitel, or you could take a barrel, put it between your knees, and then position the barrel so that the water should fall onto your hands, and that's also good. Matar chavias al tzida, you could also tilt a barrel on its side, and while the water is coming out, put your hands under the flow, v'naitel, and wash your hands. V'akuf naitel yadayim, and a monkey could wash your hands, because it's still from a koyach of a noisin. Rabbi Yossi paisel b'shnei elu. Rabbi Yossi says that both tilting the barrel and then putting your hand under the flow, if it's not immediate, so it's not the koyach harishin, and also the monkey that spills the water on you, those are not kosher according to Rabbi Yossi. Now we learn the Gemara Nida Daf Yutes Beis Chaf Amud Aleph. Remember we said we were looking what's the color of red that it should make a woman a Nida. Rav Nachman Amar Kidam HaKoza, like the blood, the color of the blood that comes out by bloodletting. In the olden days, they used to do bloodletting very often to remedy sickness and to make somebody stronger. Meisvei, Maisa v'tolu Reb Meir b'kila. There was an incident that Reb Meir said that's not blood of a nida that makes her a menstruant. That's blood because she was using eye ointment. The Rebbe told b'sraf shikma, and Rebbe says no, that's the color of the sap of a sycamore. Now, sap of a sycamore is lighter than the color of the bloodletting. So my lava edaim, when it says that they were toilet in the potion for the eye and the sap of the sycamore, weren't they saying that he was saying that that's the color of red? Says Ashar Damim on other colors in the Mishnah. But the red is the deeper red of bloodletting. Now, they were by the copper. Copper is a term for a bloodletter. And they were going there to have their blood let, and it was Rav Ashi's turn. When the copper, the bloodletter, took it, they used a horn. So he removed one horn of blood, and Rav Ashi and Chazia, so Ameimer saw the color of the blood that was removed from Rav Ashi the first time. Amalahu, so he said, Odoim ditnan, the red that it says in the Mishnah that a woman would be a nida, ki hai, is like the color of this first horn that's removed from you. Shakalei akrite, then the bloodletter took a second horn of blood. Amalahu, he says, ishtani, that's already a different color. So Rav Ashi disqualified himself from paskening nidas. Amar Rav Ashi kigain ana, like I. Delo yadana bein hai lahai. I don't see. I don't have such a sensitive eye for colors. I don't see the difference between the first horn and the second horn. I can't examine a woman's blood. That's a very big lesson. That person could be a goin like Rav Ashi, who was one of the editors of Shas, but he's not capable to paskin nidas because he doesn't have the eye for the color. Now, the Zohar, we know that the Torah singles out that you shouldn't kindle fire in all your habitats on the Shabbos day. Now, there's been a lot of discussion why it has to say that. It doesn't say all 39 malachas. Why does it single out Havara, making a fire? So the Gemara says, one opinion the Gemara is lalav yotzasa, to tell you that it's only a lav and not an isur skila, an isur misa like the other 38 malachas. But here Rab Shimon Bar Yochai says something else. Suam Rab Shimon, ksiv, it says like Savaro eish b'chol ma'ishveisecha. You shouldn't kindle a fire in all your habitats b'yom HaShabbos, my time. Begin because the loyis chazei dina b'hayuma. Because We don't want to awaken judgment on this day. Fire is symbolic of judgment, of Midas Hadin. So the Gemara says, but we have fire on the Mizbeach. We offer karbanos on the Mizbeach, and there we kindle a fire. We do have a fire burning the Tmidim on the Mizbeach on Shabbos, burning the Karban Musaf on Shabbos. So the Zohar says, B'chol ma'ishvei seichem kama. It says in all your habitats, but not a fire that we offer in the base of Mikdash. Because the fire that we offer up to Hashem, that comes to subdue the fire of din. The Taninan, for we learned in the Mishnah, is Esha Ochla Esha. There's a fire that consumes fire. The Esha Demadbecha, the fire of the Mizbeach, Ochla Esha Achra. It consumes the fire of din. That's why when we daven, and our davening is connected karbanas, the chakras is connected to Tamid Shel Chakras, Mincha is connected to Tamid Shel Bein Ha'arbayim, Ma'ariv is connected Haktaras Eivarim U'Pdarim. So the fire of our davening subdues the fire of the Midas Hadin. U'Bikinei Kach, and you should know because of this that there's no din on Shabbos, is Galya Atika Kadisha B'Hayuma. On the Shabbos Kodesh, the Bechina of ancient holiness, it's called Atika Kadisha, is revealed on Shabbos Mikol Shar Yomim, more than all the other days. Zimnad Iskalya Atika, when this ancient holiness is revealed, Lo Yischaze Dina Klal, judgment doesn't appear. The Kol Ilon V'Tatan, and all of the upper and lower realms, Mishtakchen B'Chedvas Shleimas, is found in perfect happiness, V'Dina Lo Yishalt, and judgment does not reign. Tana, we learned in the Brayse, Ksiv, Ki Sheishis Yomim Asa Hashem Es HaShamayim V'Esaretz. 6 days Hashem made the heaven and the earth. The Zohar asked, it really should say, Ki B'Sheishis Yomim Asa Hashem Es HaShamayim V'Esaretz. In 6 days. So the Zohar says, Sheishis Yomim Vadai. It says 6 days, V'loi B'Sheishis. Because it's referring, when it says Sheishis Yomim, the 6 days, it's Asa Hashem, besides Es HaShamayim V'Esaretz. And the 6 days that it's referring to is the 6 spheres. Chesed, Gvura, Tferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. V'hana Yomin Kadishin Iloyin, these 6 holy celestial days, Ikrin Yoima Dishma Kadisha, they are called days, Dishma Kadisha Iskalil Bo, that the holy name is united with it, the Yud Kei Vav Kei is united with it, the Inu Iskalilon Bay, and they are united in the holy name, and the holy name is united in them. Zakochul Keim Yisrael, Mikol Amin Oivdei Avodah Zarah. Fortunate is the portion of Yisrael from all the nations, idolaters, that don't have this holiness of Shabbos. Alayu Ksiv Atem Adveikim B'Hashem Elokeichem, you who are united with Hashem your God, which is especially on the day of Shabbos, where we desist from all that which is mundane. Chayim kulchem hayom, you are all alive on this day of the Shabbos day. Now, the Musa tells us that we should, continuing the topic of abstaining from idle, worthless chatter. Not talking about sinful chatter. We're talking about worthless, non-productive chatter. Amar Rabbi Zichron Livracha, afilu dvarim she'ein bohem mamish, even things that don't have an actual, tangible sin, but are just idle, worthless chatter. Hey nichtabin al pinchasei shel adam, they are written in a person's log in heaven. V'kairin lefanav b'shas misasei, and they're read before him at the time of his death. V'am Rabbi Sena Zichron Levracha Shtikasei Shel Adam, a person's choice to be silent, mivi asa lidei hanava, brings him to humility. V'hanava hi roish l'chol yireh shamayim, and humility is at the head of all fear of heaven. U'b'shah she'eino isik b'Torah, when he's not learning Torah, yedaimim, so let me quiet. U'madbik sifsoisav zu l'zu, and keep your mouth shut. Kishtei reichayim sheshoit v'zu al zu, like two millstones sitting one on top of another. Mipnei shetzidkoisav u'zuchiyoisav, all a person's righteousness and merits, kulin shaladam, all a person's righteousness and merits, einon maspikis, is not enough b'mashi yoytze b'svasav, to overcome the waste that comes out of his lips. Ashrei mi sheyosem atzmai, fortunate is a person who makes himself ilay, mute, v'cheresh, and like one who is deaf, v'chiger v'suma, and lame and blind. In other words, he doesn't get involved in all kinds of waste. The kolkach lama, why? K'dei shelo yechata, so he shouldn't sin, v'yechayiv es atzmai v'eseivav l'gehenim, and make himself and his limbs liable to hell. V'chein David hu aimer v'ani kecheresh le'eshma, I was like one who was deaf, I didn't hear, or ki'ilam le'yiftach piv, and like one who is mute that doesn't open his mouth. But Sefer HaZayir, the Zayir warns us, the less lach hevel, the less like kala. There is no wasteful chatter that doesn't have a voice, and it goes up to heaven and becomes a prosecutor. The kol ilan oivadin dishtadu b'banash, and all business that a person is involved with, the lav inan pulchana de kutshabarichu, that's not service of God, that's not service of the Eibishter. Hahu milo yisavad minei hevel, these words create a force, a fume. And the beer, Musar says, it's like a malach ra. Vishatis ba'olma, and it floats around the world. It's all there. V'kad nafkes nishmaseh, when a person's soul leaves his body after 120, hahu hevel megalgal olei ba'alma. These forces that he created, they cause him to roll around in the world. And this is referred to da'ihu v'es nefesh oivecha, the soul of your enemy, Hashem. With all of this harmful speech, Yikal'ena will be slung as if b'soif kafa kela. It'll be slung around as if shot from a slingshot. V'amru sham, it says on the other hand, Batilbash Esther Malchus. Esther wore Malchus. Malchus, of course, refers to the divine Shechina. Olifana, Kol man denoter pumei v'lishane, whoever guards his mouth and his tongue, Zochi li'slapsha b'ruach kutsha. He'll be zeicha to wear the Ruach HaKodesh. What the Gaon says. The Gaon says that the great pleasure of the Oragonas, the hidden light, is given to people who could have spoke Lashon Hara and chose not to. Now the Rambam tells us about Hilchos Shabbos that even if you pay a guy, so therefore the guy is now doing the work on his own, you can't have him leave your house with an item once Shabbos started. Lo yitan adam erev Shabbos kelim l'umin guy. You shouldn't give utensils to a goyish craftsman, la'asoisam, to work on them, apal pisha pasakimai, even though you paid him already. Ela b'chtei, you made up a price already. Ela b'chtei sheyotze b'hem ebeisei kodim shechashech. He has to take it out of your house before nightfall. V'chein lo yimkar adam chafotzav l'guy. You shouldn't sell something to a guy, v'lo yashilenu, or give him a loan of your vacuum cleaner, v'lo yalveno, or give him a loan of money, v'lo yimashkenenu, or give him collateral, v'lo yitin lehem matana, or a gift. Ela b'chtei sheyetze b'oisel chayfetz mepesach beisei kodem haShabbos. As long as he has to leave your house before Shabbos starts. Shekol zman shu b'beisei, as long as he's in your house, ve'ein adam yodei masay noisen lo, a person won't know when you gave it to him. If they see him leaving after Shabbos started, and your item is in his hand, people might think that you gave it to him on Shabbos. It's as if you gave him the loan, or mishkanai, or the collateral, or pasakimai, or you commissioned him, or you sold it to him b'Shabbos. Now, what about sending a letter with a guy? If you want to give a letter to a guy to take it to another city, if you made up a price with him, so now he's doing his own work, mutter, it's allowed. Even if you give it to him right before Shabbos, as long as he gets out of your house before Shabbos. That's what we explained. But if you didn't make up with him, so now it depends. If there is in this locality, Adam Kavua, which is like a Beidoar, a post office, a postmaster, he gathers the letters and sends it to each country with his messengers. It's a post office. You could give it to the guy, as long as there's enough hours in the day, as long as he could reach the house near the wall of the city where the post office is, because we could be makel and say that the post office is right away at the beginning of the city. The post office who gathers the letters and sends them is near the wall. If there is no post office, the guy who you're giving the letter, he's the one that takes it, and you didn't pay him and make up a price with him, then you can't give it to the guy to deliver, because then he's going to be working for you on Shabbos, unless you made up a price. So then when you made up a price, so then he's doing work for himself, and that would be allowed. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a wonderful day. And we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazak for the finishing of Chumash Shemais. And the next shir will be in the middle of Vayikra. I think we're up to Tazria, but I'll let you know the next shir. Ezras Hashem.